businesswoman who is someone I think has really written her own ticket. Her name is Lindsay Knowlton. She is the founder of Ironlady Golf. She is a superstar, and I'm so happy to have her join me all the way from her cottage up in north of the city here in our cottage country. So here she is, without any further ado, my very good friend and my colleague, Lindsay Knowlton. There.
Hi, Dougie.
Hello
How's it
there.
going?
How are you?
Good, good,
What? No,
good.
no Iron Lady cap. You made yourself all up nice.
I
What's
know.
this?
Had a shower, dried my
What?
hair. I
No
know.
way.
I know. COVID life.
Hey, look who joined in. Terry Kim, Angus
Here he
Glenn.
came.
There. Oh, hey, that's great. So how you keeping?
I've been pretty good. I've been crazy times, but I'm grateful for health. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Number one.
One.
And just it is the art of staying patient and being present.
No
That's
kidding, eh?
been the hardest part is just
Oops, oops.
actually accepting that.
I flipped myself around. Sorry about that. Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say
It
nice
is.
picture.
It is. Absolutely. You got to be a little creative. I mean, some of the things that you've done have been pretty creative. I mean, I really like the putting down the cross country ski and into the cup. That was really
Yeah,
good.
jumping up. I'm working on a few more. So yeah, I mean, you're the king of creativity, Dougie. So
Well, thank
uh, it's been fun. It's been fun to find different ways to connect, and I think that's been the main focus for me during this time is like really making sure that I'm connected to the Iron Lady community is just first and foremost.
Well, that I was going to actually bring this up to you because, like, I'm doing on average about 2 to 3 online lessons. And one of the things I find is that connection. We've talked about it with other coaches where, now more than ever, staying connected with the kids for me and my juniors and letting, checking in with them, having a lesson, even having just a video chat like this, right?
Yeah.
It's so important. And I mean, as equal for you, you've got some amazing connections that you've made in your 5 years of Iron Lady. And I'm sure that's super important for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It really is. And I mean, everyone's at home. And I think the one thing that we can do, if we can't be out there playing golf, at least we can connect with each other. So
Exactly,
whether
right?
it's video lessons or whether it's tips or whether it's a phone call, earlier in the time, I was doing a couple of like very socially distant or distanced hikes with a couple of different ladies, which was really nice. And
Very cool.
yeah, just trying to find ways to keep the community going. And I think that on the other side of this, when we come out of it, it'll be even stronger.
Well, I think one of the really interesting things about you, and I'm gonna pump your tires up a little bit here, because I am like such a big fan of what you do and such a big fan of just you, period, as a person. I really think, in the time that we've known each other, to watch your rise in how you've taken Iron Lady to be the foremost women's inspiration of how to play golf in Canada. I can honestly tell you
Wow, Dougie, thank
that
you.
way. You know what? To watch what you do and to see how you've done it and to introduce this game to women in a way that is so engaging, and the clubs that have actually brought you in to allow them to use their golf club. And I mean, you have a track record of having people join clubs once you've been there. The really cool part about this is you've staked a claim in an area where very few trod and they very few stick around. And this is one of the things that I really admire about you, because you've stuck to your focus and you've created this amazing entity. I mean, here, let me just talk a little bit about it. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me just
Oh my God. Thanks, Dad. No, we're just kidding.
so Lindsay Knowlton, all right, played at Ohio State University, full ride. She played on Team Canada. This girl can golf her ball. She played in the Bermuda World Par 3 Championship 2 years ago. And what place did you come in? 13th?
A little bitter.
A little better. Yeah. What? Top 10?
Well, the funniest thing about that, it was my first event as a tour pro, and
Right.
I like had no idea. I get down there and it's co-ed, so
Right.
it's we played together, and it was same tees and all that. So yeah, I don't know how I ended up placing in the co-ed division. I guess.
Well, you did. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, you know, you don't even really play competitive golf anymore. You go down to this World Par 3 Challenge in Bermuda, and like you come in the top 10, like unreal. Like it's just. Anyways, my point being is, you know, you grew up at Rosedale Golf Club. You learned to play there. I remember seeing your freckly face in Ontario Golf News when you were tearing up the junior circuit, and you come out of Ohio State and you get a job working in the golf business, and you know, in the industry. And the really interesting part here is you had this little epiphany where you kind of went, wait a minute, there's something missing.
Mm-hmm.
So your business is such a unique niche market, and for women wanting to get into the game,
yeah,
what differentiates Iron Lady Golf from anything else in the market, like a ladies clinic and a you know, a get ready golf program? What is the differentiator here for Iron Lady Golf? What is it?
I mean, it's a good question. I think obviously everyone's, oh wow, yeah, it's past 5 o'clock. Totally. What am I thinking? I should get a glass of wine going. Iron Lady for me honestly has been the number one purpose and passion in my life. And I don't even know if I ever told you how it got started.
You did.
Oh, I did. Okay. In the Starbucks. Yeah. So yes. I think
you started the conversation with the woman at Starbucks.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And you know, for people that don't know, essentially someone was listening in. They were eavesdropping on this conversation I was having with one of my best friends about really wanting to help women say yes to golf. Just feel comfortable enough to say yes. So, you know, go to their first corporate golf event, play golf with their spouse, whatever it was. And this guy leaned over and he's like, I'm so sorry, I've been eavesdropping on this whole conversation. I love this. Call me. And I thought that this is so strange. And I called him, and it turned out he was a senior VP at Manulife. And honestly, he had me come in and give a lunch and learn to his female employees at Manulife. And there was our first clinic. So it was pretty magical. Like, I kind of knew that there was something there, but I didn't really know what it was. And so he was just really a special soul that helped guide it. But I think what's really been my passion with Iron Lady is making it a super accessible program and community to anyone. So you don't have to be a member at a golf club. You don't even have to know how to show up to a golf club. And it's safe, it's fun, it's inclusive. And that's what matters to me the most.
I think that's really the really cool part here. So just to give you guys a little idea here of what she does, like, imagine if you had somebody show up on your pro shop door saying to you, hey, you allow me to bring in some clinics here in the evening when it's not busy with your members or at your club, and you give me access to the range, access to the course, and then watch how you are bringing people to the golf course and increasing the amount of exposure for women, which can be a crazy, scary, and really, really awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah,
right?
Totally intimidating. Yeah,
it's very intimidating. And so one of the things I love about you, and I mean, anybody that meets you instantly feels relaxed because you've just got such a bright and airy demeanor, and it's really an amazing part. And I think that was one of the things. I mean, when I met you the very first time when you were doing the opening ceremony at the World Junior Girls, and my cousin Steve said, oh, you got to meet Lindsay. And I was like, from that day, you and I became friends. We, you know, and colleagues, you were always thinking, how can I do more? And what can I do with these ladies? And how can I do it differently? And you had a good idea about what you wanted. And to watch it grow has been really cool. One of the cool things that I like about what you do is it's not just golf. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But getting to this point, what's been the biggest hurdle?
It's a good question. I would say Toronto traffic has been a bit of a hurdle.
It's like traffic for those of you from California. Anyways, or trying to get to Washington, D.C. for those of you around Maryland. There, how's that?
Yeah, it's, you know, in that sense, it's been really challenging. I think one thing that's always mattered to me the most is following the evolution and the journey of the Iron Lady, right? So if somebody comes, they're new to golf, sure, they come to a clinic and they learn how to play, which is great, but then what? So then, you know, okay, maybe they're taking a playing lesson. Then we started a league. Then we run these retreats. So it's really been, you know, this growth of someone that can really go through the community and join it and feel a part of it for a long time. I would say the biggest hurdle, it's sort of if I could partner with more golf clubs, that would be number one. That would be the best thing. And I mean, the clubs that I am partners with, I saw Terry on here. Angus Glenn is like an incredible longtime partner. And we work together. And, you know, I've got private club partners at Markland Wood. I work with Club Link a lot, and they've been amazing. And I think what they see is that, you know, it is revenue generating for the club, but more importantly, you're bringing people to a golf course that wouldn't have otherwise ever shown up or known about golf.
You know what? Here's the thing. You know, people always think, oh, put a picture in a magazine of our golf course, put in an ad, do a radio thing, this and that. Oh, go to our Facebook page, go to our Instagram, blah, blah, blah. What's the draw? How are you going to get people who may be wanting to play golf and are a little bit scared and worried? How are you going to get them across that bridge? You can't. Oh. This is why Iron Lady is such an amazing bridge for people who want, women who want to try golf and, you know, look at it as an opportunity to improve themselves in a sport and also network, connect, socialize, and have some amazing experience. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. I've got some more questions for you, but one of the things I really love about Iron Lady, it's not just a clinic. Like there's like 3 or 4 silos you have, which are really amazing for women. They have choices. They have options. They can go to a destination trip. They can go to a retreat up in Muskoka, where you are with your parents near the cottage. They can go and take a playing lesson league at Markland Wood, where they get on the golf course, or they can just take a clinic at a corporate event. There's like 4 different things that gives options that people don't do. And I'm pretty much, am I bang on there?
Yeah, no, you're bang on. And I mean, the part that I love most about it, I guess, is like, it's really, really intimidating to show up to a golf course or even think about that if you don't play golf. Like, people just aren't going to do it. They aren't going to seek out a golf course. So my goal has always been to lead with a community in a space that feels really safe to get into. And then I always joke, like, then they leave the nest. Like, they go, they have fun, and we go on trips and we do great things, and I see them out playing golf together, but everyone remains part of that community, which is so cool.
So you are and have developed into quite the cool destination trips. Yeah. You know, you've gone to Bermuda, you've gone to Bahamas, you've gone to Scotland. You know, a lot of pros look to maybe do that with groups, whether it be kids like myself. I do that to Florida, but there's an art to this, and I know that you've learned both financially, because your first one you didn't make a dime, but you've also figured out what the ratio needs to be, and I mean, you've done some really cool stuff. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Scotland, it was Ireland. I apologize.
Yeah,
sorry, I got confused. Maybe I thought Ireland was like Scotland. Haha, Michelle Holmes. On this, she's gonna hear that and she's gonna come back with like fiery flames.
Little chirp, yeah.
Ireland is not like Scotland. Anyways, tell us a little bit of ins and outs, and what have you learned about destination trips that maybe can help people that are turning in, like why they should take them, and also what are some of the things you need to do to make sure you set them up right?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I try to do is usually take the trips in what would be like the off season, right? Okay. Or at least the months that aren't super busy here. So, you know, as a golf professional in Toronto, you'd probably have six months of like really heavy earning, unless you've got a good, robust winter business like yourself, Doug. But I would say off season is good. Figuring out, you know, in a little focus group of your clients, where are they keen to go? I've had a lot of people really enjoy Bermuda. So I've done a lot of trips there, like 7 trips there. I actually had 3 I just canceled in April and May. So that was a little bit painful, but we'll get that rescheduled. So
sure.
the sweet number that I've found is having about 12,
Okay.
no more than 12. And even, you know, more than that, it just, the group doesn't feel as intimate. You know, you don't get to connect with people as much. In terms of the partnership with the destinations, I found that some of them are really helpful in terms of like offering packages for the pro where it's like, okay, if you sell X amount of rooms, your trip is free, which ends
Oh,
up
wow,
being,
that's great.
yeah, which ends up being way better for the golf professional, right?
For
Because you're
sure.
not absorbing the cost into the participant's fee. One of the things that we did for Ireland this past year, it was, I wanted to go, and we called it the best Ironlady adventure.
Well,
And so
I
it
mean,
was,
you're kind of preempting me because that trip was like a day of golf. Hey, let's go tour a distillery. You know, like that was amazing. Sorry.
it was amazing. It was totally amazing. And so I had this dream. I had been to Ireland 3 times, and I was like, oh my gosh, the last time I had gone, we went to Southwest Ireland, and I thought, I need to get in a car and I need to drive all of Ireland and figure this place out. And I think we're going to come back and do a trip. So I did. I got in a car and drove like the entire coast and did all the hikes and played the courses and scoped out the restaurants and put together what in my mind was going to be like a dream trip to Ireland. So we flew to Dublin and then drove all the way through Northern Ireland, around
Wow.
the coast and Southern. So, and as you said, it was a day of golf, a day of hiking, a day of sightseeing. And so in each region that we hit, we did each one of those activities, and it was an adventure.
Oh, cool.
You know, and I mean, it's the people that make it, right? Like
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
absolutely.
stories and the fun dinners and it was a touring trip. So people knew that going into it, we were moving around sort of, we'd spent 3 nights in each
Mhm.
spot. So it ended up being, it was about a 9-night trip, 10 days.
So when you did this, and I like the fact that you broached them on like because like you've gone when you've done heavy golf, but you've morphed it a little bit now, and you find the destination trips with a little bit of both. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and this was really like a trifecta because you did like 3 things, but like you really getting your mojo into this, right? And
Yeah.
it's really cool to see. Why is that so important? Oh, here are some of your best buds coming on here. Jamie Steedman.
Hi, James.
Oh man, so
Uh,
cool. Awesome. Anyways,
Yeah, I think that, you know, after that Ireland trip, the feedback was basically they loved the blend of
cool.
you know, exploring and golf. And I mean, to be honest, it was a little bit personal, the decision to do it. I always found that, you know, I've been so fortunate to travel to like amazing places through
Yes.
golf. But then you go to amazing places, and oftentimes all you see is the golf course and the hotel. And I thought, we're seeing more than that. We're going to go and we're going to do things. And I think that one thing, one other thing was that when we had golf sort of every other day or every third day,
Mm-hmm.
it made them really excited to play golf. It wasn't
Oh, that's cool.
exhausting. It was like, we're excited to play this course. And, you know, the other thing about Ireland is sometimes the weather can be like a little bit potentially dodgy.
A little
Um,
maybe.
a little challenging, although it was pretty fabulous. We had one hardcore day, which was great, and I felt like people their money's worth out of their rain suits that day. But yeah, it's been
Kind
good.
of like the year you went to Bermuda. It was like 8 degrees in Bermuda. All right, that
Yeah,
was incredible.
yeah, it was like 100-mile-an-hour windstorm. One of my ladies got a hole in one.
Unbelievable. Kathy Preston almost blew. She almost got blown into the air. Anyways, that's too funny.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. So,
Old Head. How was that playing there?
oh my gosh, Old Head. So if any of you have not heard of Old Head, you need to Google Old Head in Ireland. And you can't even really describe it to people. It's like this unbelievable peninsula where there are 14 holes are on a cliff. So it's sort of Pebble Beach supersized.
Right.
And it's so cool. And I've been fortunate enough to now play it 3 times, and every single time it's just a wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All right, so every boyfriend, every partner, every husband, anybody that's in a relationship who golfs, if one person golfs, all right, they typically want the other person to golf with them, right? Because no one likes to be the person at home unless you have that really great relationship.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you can give to somebody who wants to get their partner into golf?
Don't teach them.
I
get a lot of partners that call me, which I actually think is amazing. And, ask the same question is, can you teach my spouse golf? How do I get them into it? And what I would say is be encouraging. Like, the number one reason why my mom and my sister don't want to play golf is because, hopefully my dad isn't watching this, but he's a bit annoying. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's trying to be helpful.
He is trying.
I think obviously being positive and encouraging, but getting your spouse a lesson just right off the bat. And actually, sorry, what I was going to say is probably the most important is finding them a little community. So making sure that you're not their only bridge into the sport. Get them to take it up with a friend. Send them out to a lesson together. Go have a glass of wine, hang out, and just start to enjoy being around it as opposed to feeling like you have to master it in five lessons.
Wow. This is really crazy because last night I had my friend James Hong from Long Island on. And one of the things we talked about how to get kids, into golf and how to get them to enjoy it. And one of the things he said, you find an instructor, find a coach who builds relationships with the clients so that they feel very relaxed as a kid and they want to go back because nobody wants to be there if they don't want to be there. Right. And it exactly the same thing here. If the person's not going to want to be there or they're a little scared and intimidated, it sounds like just like a young child going to their first golf lesson, it's very precarious. What do you think makes everybody love Lindsay Knowlton? Why do you think that this is such a really cool thing? What is it, your point, that you draw them in that you don't want to leave?
I honestly don't think it's me, but what I try to do is just create an environment that they want to be a part of. So make it safe, make it inclusive, bring people in, and they meet one another and they connect with each other and they share stories and they share a glass of wine. And sometimes people come and they don't hit one shot. And sometimes other people come and they're super hardcore and it doesn't matter, whatever.
Well, that right there, I mean, where does that just sounds completely not normal, right?
Yeah.
But you're on to something, Ms. Knowlton. This is the really interesting part here. This is why this has been successful, because you're not doing the norm where it's like, oh, put your golf hat on. Oh, you have to hold the club like this. You have to do this. You have to do that. You know what? I still remember you doing a clinic. I'm watching you and you're talking about, like, the way you were talking to them was so non-technical. It was so inviting. They all loved it. And it was amazing. Oh, hold on. I got to come back to this. Hold on. Michelle Holmes just said, okay, someone has got to introduce me to this lady, another Canadian I am going to love.
And Michelle, I just watched your video with Doug and I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, I need to meet her.
Well, you know what? She's been threatening to come up to Canada, because she knows so many people here in this town. So she might just have to make a road trip when this is all said and done.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, she's another really good one. And I mean, I've introduced you to a couple of good friends, Kate Tempesta, and right? I mean, such a great person. And one of the things, I want to know, you've been a great player. Now, you weren't necessarily the most technical coach, okay? You've always been asking questions, right? You come hung out with me. You work at TXG with Ian and the boys, so they're very helpful with you with regards to understanding what what the numbers are, which is very cool on the launch monitors. Is it easier to coach beginners or people who have a little bit more ability?
For me, it's beginners. Like, I love the newbies, just love it.
Okay. Why?
And maybe to your point, I don't consider myself like a super technical coach. Like, I wouldn't have considered myself a super technical player.
No.
It's just, it's never been, well, that's why you're here. I just send them over to you.
Yes.
But for me, I love watching someone get excited, someone pick it up for the first time. I feel like I do have the patience to be with them and stay with them and figure out how to say something 25 different ways so that they understand it. You know, I don't feel like I have one prescripted way of speaking or teaching. I really just love sort of that little experiment of figuring out what makes them tick and how I can help them the best.
That's very cool. What do you think what would you like to get better at as a coach for your players?
I think of you actually, and I think of the word that you use, roadmap, and you know, continuing to do a better job of figuring out what that roadmap is for each person.
That's awesome. That's so cool. That's really cool. All right, so I have a portion in this all my talks. Fast five.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so 5 questions, random questions. You don't know what's coming.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I put on my thinking cap for this. All right, but I know the answer to a couple of them, but we'll see what happens. Okay, bud?
Okay.
Here you go. Who's your hero?
My dad.
Yeah. Why?
Oh, he's just such a good guy. He is like
what
has
made
the
him
most
different when you were a junior that allow you to become successful?
He is like the parent that I wish I could give to every junior golfer. He would like take me to my little tournaments and give me a lucky penny, put it in my pocket, and
Wow.
say, "You're going to be so great today." And then he'd go and read the newspaper on the bench while I warmed up, and then off we went to the first tee.
Parents, take notes, take notes.
He is amazing. Yeah. And I mean, my mom as well. They've just been so supportive.
Very cool. Who inspires Lindsay Knowlton?
Doug Laurie.
No, never mind.
You know who inspires me,
Yeah.
and I really mean this, is the Ironlady community. Is being with them. Like, I can't even tell you how energizing it is for me to be around that group of women. It's amazing.
That's so cool. All right. Sushi in LA, croissants in Paris, a single malt in St. Andrews, fish on the beach in Bermuda, or a beer on the deck in Muskoka.
Oh my God.
Where are we going?
Can we go to all of the above on your jet?
Yes,
like,
on my jet. Yes, because
I mean, it would depend.
Gonna fly me.
I mean, I'd go for a dark and stormy on a beach in Bermuda right about now.
All right, so fish on the beach in Bermuda, fresh fish on the beach in Bermuda. Catch you there, absolutely 100%. Right. I want to see if you can answer this question. This is going to test you. Wearing the correct blank is essential for golf.
Wearing the correct blank is essential for golf?
Correct, insert word, blank, which is blank, right? So wearing the correct what is essential for golf?
Bra.
Boom. You got it right.
Oh, it's because I have that conversation a lot with people when they're flying out of control.
Okay. So, little precarious. I kind of fed it right. But why? And what you work for a company that makes this, but why, like you help them out, but why is this so important?
It can be really hard to maneuver around them or with them. If you're oh, my sister's here. Hi, Jules. It's important to keep things together.
So so the company you work for makes a really good one, because you told me about it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what makes it such a good bra for golf?
Well, I don't have too big of an issue, but I think most importantly, you need to feel sort of like tight and locked in and secure with it. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
This could go sideways, Doug.
Hey, look, it was a way to you to give a little plug for your company.
Yeah.
Like, right? Because again, but it's a subject that, as a guy teaching women, right? It's like, it's always like, well, how do you talk about?
It can be a tough conversation.
It's often an awkward situation for everybody, right? So I try to make jokes out of it.
That's hilarious.
really interesting point. But no, it was part, I thought I'd
Yeah,
get
yeah.
out of your fast five here. But anyways, all right. So this is one of my favorite questions. All right. So they're making the Iron Lady movie. Who's starring in the lead role of Lindsay Knowlton? Who's the leading Iron Lady?
Ooh. Um, I really like, I would say I go for a hybrid between like Jennifer Aniston and Kristen Wiig, who
Oh, okay.
like cracks me up.
All right. I
Yeah.
would go with the what's her name who was in Easy A. What is her name? She's a redhead. That's what I can never remember her name. But anyways, yeah, totally. I get a hybrid between Kristen Wiig and Jennifer Aniston. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like fun, but girl next door, you know.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool. All right. So where are we going? Where are we going with golf instruction when we get out of this COVID thing? Because you deal typically in a group setting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you've been putting a little bit of brain power on this. Emma Stone, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, Emma Stone, yeah.
Yes, Emma Stone.
Okay, yeah, I like her.
Okay, well, there you go. Thank you, Jason
Thanks,
Moxley.
Jason.
My rescue, appreciate it, and Franz, thank you. Anyways, where do you think you're going? Because you typically deal in group.
Mm-hmm.
So have you given much thought about how you're going to structure this, once it gets out of here?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I have thought a lot about it. I think, well, obviously the group size is going to go down. A big thing that we're doing at Iron Lady this year is leagues. So, which I'm really excited about, which is sort of an interesting way because it is a bigger group, but within a smaller group, right? So they go out and play together, but still has that community feel. I mean, it's the unknown when we come out of this. Like, I have 2 trips scheduled this fall. One is to Ireland. So I have like my fingers and toes crossed on that one. And then and one is out to Cabot Links.
Yes.
Which is going to be great. And then, but it's really hard to know. It's hard to know if that's going to be a go and when are we going to come out of this? I don't know if you've heard more than I have, but,
you know what? It's one of these things. I look at it, and I was talking with my friend Ryan Starr at Lake Ridge, and one of the things that we were kind of kicking around, and I mean, I think the PGA of Canada is really doing a good job of keeping us informed and really doing a great job of letting us know what's going on. I think we've seen Canada in general bond together really well with this, and I'm really happy about it. What I think we're going to find is that it's going to be a little different on what we need to do as a golf professional. Because like I was talking with my cousin Ann, and I mean, she said, the things we take for granted, you grab your student's golf club and you want to show them stuff. Well, you can't do that now, right? Mm-hmm. You go in and you try to move them in the right position. Well, you can't do that either. So I was thinking, in terms of like with juniors, I was thinking you put them all in hula hoops and it's like their protective cone, it's their protective bubble. And they always have to stay in the hula hoop no matter where they walk with their clubs and stuff like that, right? So
yeah,
that's a good idea. Different things that you have to think about, because if you can't bump your, you got to keep your hula hoop away from everybody. Mm-hmm. And then that way you can have the space and the buffer, right? So you can try and say, hey, okay, you're getting your hula hoop too close to me, or your spaceship, or whatever it is, right? There's I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Driving Porsches, you can imagine that the hula hoops are Porsches, or like Escalades or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something crazy, right? You got to come up with something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the places you get to work is at Tour Experience Golf.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys,
they're amazing.
Some of my favorite people. I send all my kids there. Now, as far as club fitting for women, when people come to see you, because obviously people are going to come to you and may or may not have a set of golf clubs.
Yeah.
What do you do with the beginners, first of all, versus the players who you think they need new equipment? So let's talk about the players that you are introducing to the game. What's your recommendation, and how do you get them going with clubs?
My recommendation is no more than 5 golf clubs. So usually what I do when they come with whether they have an old set or a new set, They come and I separate their bag. So I say, okay, everything on the left is what you're going to use, and everything on the right is just going to collect a little dust. But at least this way you don't look like a total Yeti with only 5 clubs in your bag. Like, you look like you know what you're doing, right? But it's just it's organized.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, how many times have you had somebody come to you? Well, I've never used that golf club, or they only use their 7-iron and they're like pitching wedge, right? That's like I haven't used any of those other golf clubs ever before.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do, and I mean, you don't need to when you're first getting started. So, you know, whether you want to carry them or not. First getting started, usually I'm a TaylorMade professional, so
Yeah.
I really like the Clayas. Those are like a great little starter set to get people going. But you know, anything they can have. I had my dad's cut down clubs to start out, but usually, I know they're.
I want to hear that.
Heavy. Yeah. But this was like back in the day.
That's why your tempo is like butter, because like you just had to swing them nice and slow.
Okay, but there was no other way to do it.
Exactly.
Once the golfers, once the Iron Ladies can really consistently get the ball in the air, is usually when I direct them towards TXG. Like after they've gotten out of that first starter set and really feel like, you know, they're also ready to make a commitment to golf, right? It's like, okay, you need another set, but you're ready to make this commitment and you feel excited to go, because that's also can be an intimidating process. And I send them to TXG. And to be honest, like anyone that's gone in, I didn't even think Ian could do this. Ian's their main fitter, but I went in with a fitted set, and I thought, well, there's no, like, good luck, Ian. You're not going to get much out of this. And he ended up getting me 25 yards on my driver, which was like blew my mind. And so that was a lot of fun for me. And again, when I start seeing that, I'm going, oh my God, like imagine what more people can be getting out of their clubs.
And that's a really great point, because you know, it's amazing. People often get intimidated when they hear custom made. Mm-hmm. Okay. And one of the things, and you can attest to this as well, they'll go through the fitting with you. They'll show you what it is and how much better you'll be and what you need. And they'll give you the option of whether or not you don't have to purchase it from them.
Oh, right? Yeah. No, they'll benchmark your clubs and say, you hit your 7-iron this far, you hit the new one this far. What do you want to do?
Right. Yeah. And that's the really cool part, because you being there and bringing them into that facility, it can be a little intimidating because it's a pretty wicked looking facility. But the really cool part is you have like sip and swing wine nights on Mondays at this place, which is just amazing. And it just takes all that intimidation off. So when they get better, hey, I'm going to have a little fitting session here now. And it's like, it's less intimidating. And this is such a key point. And so when you get to the better clubs and stuff like that, what's one of the things that you get people to realize? Is it you make this investment, then this investment is going to last them a long time? Or is it this investment is going to help them play better golf?
Well, I think both of them are key messages. You know, it's not a huge expense that you're going to have again in a year or two. But most of all, it's going to help you play better golf. And I know a lot of people that would pay whatever amount of money to get, 5, 10, 25 more yards right. in their golf game. And I mean, I think that the thing that's most interesting to me is that with custom fitting, the way I describe it is like, it's as if you're putting on the wrong size shoe and like smashing your foot into the shoe, trying to make it fit. And then you go and get the right club that's fit for you. It's the right height. It's the right size in your hands. It's the right, I don't think people even understand, at least the people I'm teaching anyway, not all of them understand what kind of difference would this even make? Like why a custom fit?
So I'm glad you're leading into that, because that's the feature. That's the really cool part about this is as you bring them along and that you expose them to this, it's like, oh, wow, it's an education on another side of why Ironlady is so multifaceted in introducing this game of golf to women.
Yeah, no, I love it. And you're right. And I mean, just as if showing up to TXG for the first time and getting educated on that is one thing, it's the same with the golf course. Like that first step into a golf course for someone is a really, really big deal. And the second that they see, oh, there's the practice facility, here's the course, here's the patio where I have my glass of wine, like we naturally as humans get more comfortable. And
Sure.
so that's what keeps them coming back.
So what can you give for somebody who may not be able to get to an Ironlady experience?
Mm-hmm.
What, for anybody watching here, what 3 things of advice can you give them to help their experience in golf get better? What would be your top 3?
My first one would probably be say yes more than you say no. I think that, you know, what I've learned through this is probably like 80% of women typically say no to an opportunity because we're just maybe a little bit scared of potentially embarrassing ourselves.
Okay.
That would be one. Number 2 is find a community. And so whether that's one friend or a group of friends, but do it together, because at the end of the day, usually anything's more fun in a little group, but especially golf. Like that's a really, really special way to enjoy it. And the third is, I mean, obviously I would say take lessons because I think it'll help, but just take it easy. Like don't be too hard on yourself, because really at the end of the day, even if you just walk the entire golf course or hit one shot. I remember I had the first retreat I ever took. A woman signed up and she had never played golf in her life. Never. And I thought, how am I going to do this? Like, sure, you can come, but I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I thought, okay, day 1, all you're going to do, you're actually just going to learn how to drive the cart and where to go. So you're going to watch everyone and you're just going to figure out how to navigate your way around the golf course. That's day 1.
Awesome.
Then day 2, so we worked our way backwards. So day 2, she got a putter and a ball. And so day 2, she was putting with everyone. So she putt 18 holes. And then the next day it was like chipping and putting and driving. So it was really cool. I mean, it worked out, thank goodness. But
that's amazing. People, I mean, oh my gosh, a woman goes on a retreat. Yeah, I'm going to go. I've never played golf before. But how amazing did you do that? This is an amazing experience that you did. People, listen, did you hear this? She drove the cart first, then putting, then chipping, then pitching, full swing. Man, that is just brilliant, kid. Like, oh my gosh, I love it.
I'm so glad. And you know what was really funny, Doug? What came out of that was all the other women in her group were saying, why didn't I have that when I first got started? Like, I would have loved to have just done that and not have to have the pressure to like hit every shot.
That's really cool.
That was a good learning for me, because I sort of, I just like fell into it, but had to figure it out.
Wow, that's so very cool. I mean, speaking of cool, all right, like you have traveled the world and you've done some pretty amazing things, and not everybody knows about a certain adventure that you participate in that I know about. And of course I had to ask you about it because I think everybody needs to get the story. But one of the most unbelievable experiences of your life, you got to participate 10 years ago in this unbelievable thing called Where in the World. And where means wearing. And you were working for TaylorMade Adidas at the time, and they selected 2 people to go and play the highest golf course in Bolivia, the lowest golf course in the States, the southernmost course in Argentina and in Africa, and the hottest golf course in Australia, all wearing the Climate Cool stuff from Adidas. Like that, like there's a video on YouTube of you actually having to shovel the greens off in Argentina because you were so hot, it was so cold, it was snowing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was wild. It was totally nuts. It was a 40-day adventure. Well, it was a job application. And so TaylorMade emailed all of us on like a Tuesday afternoon and said, Dear Adidas employee, here's a job application for 2 people to go around the world in 40 days. Apply here, click.
40 days.
Basically, it was crazy. You had to submit, it started with like a video submission, then phase 2 was like a blog submission, then it was a dynamic interview with someone. And in the end, I ended up getting the job with this guy, Josh from LA. And Josh and I went with videographer Jeff, and we went all around the world. I mean, essentially, without the romantic part, it was kind of like The Bachelor, but I had the final rose. Like, we were going everywhere. Like, this was crazy. Like, TaylorMade's paying for us to go around the world. It was unbelievable.
But there's
again,
been biking in Bolivia in like cold and like clouds and like fog and like then you're like in the middle of Ayers Rock in Australia where it's like 50 degrees out.
Yeah, we did cage diving with the great white sharks.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the great white sharks.
Which was like, crazy. We did, so that biking that you got to Google this too. Google Death Road in Bolivia. And so it's basically, as wide as your table and a 2,000-foot vertical drop to the side. And there's like gravestones every 50 yards with people that have gone over. Yeah, I'm just like riding my brake the whole way down. But it was crazy. So we played golf, we adventure traveled, and we did community service in each location that we went to. That's unreal.
Yeah. Like you got to play with Eduardo Romero in Argentina.
Yeah, Andres Romero and Nathan Green.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool.
That's unreal. Like, yeah. I mean, well, I mean, one of the things, like, so you finished these 40 days, right? Yeah. Was there any point there where you're kind of going, I need to get off this train. This is a little dangerous, or you're a little worried about your, like you're worried about your safety?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was crazy. There were a bunch of things that we were doing that would, like the release form, I'll put it that way, was lengthy and a lot of signatures because we were doing some pretty risky stuff. And not to mention we were moving around every single day we were moving. So yeah, it was an unbelievable life experience.
What was the farthest ball you hit in Bolivia up at, what was it, 1,400 feet above? What was the farthest drive you hit?
It is true. So when the air is thin, and so it was 14,000 feet above sea level.
14,000 feet. Sorry, not 100. 14,000.
14,000 feet. So I think my driver went something like 340 yards. Like, it was like ridiculous. Yeah, like great for the ego. Go play golf in Bolivia.
You can't breathe, but hey, your ball's gonna go far. Yeah. Like, did you notice that the air was a lot thinner? Like, did you have trouble adjusting?
We actually had to take prescriptive, like, cocoa pills, like altitude pills.
Wow.
Yeah, because I got sick. Okay. I ended up getting really sick there just from the altitude. And I mean, keep in mind, too, we went from Death Valley, California, which was the lowest elevated, and we had our direct flight to La Paz, Bolivia, super, super high. So yeah.
Wow. What was those great white sharks were pretty close.
Oh my gosh. So they stick you in a cage.
Yeah.
And they throw out what they call the chum. So it's like a massive tuna head into the water beside you, and the shark just comes up. It's bigger than your car, and it comes up and just grabs the fish. The water was so cold. It was unbelievable. Like, we had wetsuits on and everything, but it was pretty crazy.
I would have peed myself. I'm not gonna lie. I would have. How did you didn't pee yourself?
At least, Doug, it was pretty scary.
Scare the crap out of me. Yeah. And then, okay, so did they tell you when you went to Australia that 28 of the top 30 things that can kill you are in that country?
No, I wouldn't have wanted to know that.
So the biggest spider, which is like my hand, doesn't kill you, but the one tinier than my nail on my baby finger will kill you because it's in your shoe.
Oh boy. Yeah, so I did not know that.
Oh yeah. 28 of the deadliest things, the 30 deadliest things in the world are in Australia. And there's spiders and snakes and sharks and all that stuff, right? But wow, that's an amazing experience. So, all right. So one of the really cool things is, like, you got to play for Team Canada, and you got to play with some pretty awesome ladies. Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time that you thought you could make a living playing golf?
Last year, no. Yeah, you know what? I definitely thought I could do it, and ironically enough, I feel like my golf would be better now than it was then. And I think one of the things that's helped me most through coaching, and especially through coaching Ironlady Golf, is like simplifying it, like totally simplifying golf. And at the time when I played for Ohio State and was fortunate enough to be an All-American my last year and played on the national team, and I thought, like, maybe I should go for this. Maybe I should go for it. And I remember I came back that summer, I had graduated, and I was still working for the national, or playing for the national team, sorry. And my same wonderful parents I was telling you about looked at me and they're like, you need to get a job. Like, you're not just playing golf. And
good old dad just said,
yeah,
get a job, right?
He's like, no, like, you're not just playing golf. So I started up at TaylorMade Adidas, which was like literally the best job ever, starting out of school. And I loved it. And I realized very quickly that I could still stay in golf and love golf, but and not have to make a putt to make my life work.
Well, one of the things that's really cool is that women have been making a huge stride in golf. Yourself, Leslie Hawkins, you know, my colleague Casey Ward, you know, my good friend out on the West Coast, Carrie Moffat, you know, assistant coach of the NAIA national champs, UBC Thunderbirds. And you know what? Even in the States, you know, we have Michelle Holmes, and we also have Susie Whaley as the president of the PGA of America.
So cool.
It's really an amazing point. And Michelle brought up on her talk, I asked her, was it, you know, does she feel it's a bit of a struggle being a professional and a woman? Mm-hmm. And she, no. And I was like, that's the first time anybody's ever said that, right?
That's
and
cool.
So I asked the same question to you, as you being a professional and a woman and in this job, have you found it a struggle?
No. I've actually, I feel like, well, when I worked at TaylorMade, I was the only woman there for quite some time. A few more have joined since. And I would say, no, it's not a struggle. It's an opportunity. And I feel really, really, really fortunate.
So what advice can you tell young professional women or young girls watching this right now that they can do with their golf? If they want to think it's a career, if they want to pursue it, what piece of advice can you give them to help them make it their life?
That there are so many opportunities. And if they can find, you know, Doug, you've been so wonderful in my journey and my career and my life. And honestly, if you can find people like that in your life that help guide you and give you ideas, I mean, the world is your oyster in the golf industry, especially as a woman right now. I think that there's tons of opportunities. Like my friend Jamie is on the call here, and she's doing amazing things at the Ladies Club, and very fortunate to be, you know, also working with them too. We've done some great events, but find people, because we're happy to help and connect. I'm talking to a university golf team next week, and which I'm really, really looking forward to, but talking to them about all the opportunities in golf that go beyond, you know, the predictable ones that they think, right? There's right. A lot of places that they can stay in golf.
Well, if there's anything that I can tell is that you are not predictable. You've taken something that no one saw. You took this idea and this idea in Starbucks that some guy decided to give you a start with, and you've grown it into the juggernaut of Ironlady Golf. I am incredibly proud to be your friend, your mentor, and also, you know, a colleague on the PGA. And I get a front seat to watch you just keep soaring and growing.
Oh, thanks, Doug.
I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. Everybody follow her, Ironlady Golf, Lindsay Knowlton on Instagram. Check her out. She's one of a kind, and I'm so happy.